The hotel industry has a standard legal response to guest deaths. It has been used so many times that the language has become almost interchangeable across continents, across hotel chains, across incident types. The words shift slightly. The structure never does. No negligence was found. The property was in compliance with applicable regulations. Our thoughts are with the family during this difficult time. What that response rarely contains is this: we knew. We chose not to fix it. This was preventable. 6 resorts, 6 accidents. In every single one, the management company, the corporate parent, or the government behind the institution reached for the same tool, the one that pointed the finger somewhere else. At the mother who looked away for a moment, at the tourist who had a drink, at a guest's pre-existing health condition, at a set of regulations that didn't require them to do more. The investigations found something different. This is Abandoned Thrills. Like and subscribe, then comment below where you're watching from. Let's dive in. The first call LaToya Fayol made after her daughter was pulled from the Crown Reef Resort pool was to emergency services. The second call she received, not long after, was from Myrtle Beach Police. She was being charged with unlawful neglect of a child. Malaysia Fayol was 7 years old. She drowned at Crown Reef Beach Resort on August 19, 2018. Her mother was arrested the same day. Crown Reef Beach Resort had no cameras monitoring the pool area. It had no lifeguard on duty. Under South Carolina state law, neither is required. A posted sign reading "No lifeguard on duty" constitutes the full extent of a South Carolina resort's legal obligation to its pool guests. The resort settled the Fayol case for $500,000 without admitting liability. 3 years later, on April 1, 2021, Destiny Morgan brought her children to the same resort. Her 4-year-old daughter, Demi Williams, asked to go into the Lazy River, a pool loop approximately 3 feet deep. Morgan waited at the exit point for Demi to come around. Demi never came. Morgan found her daughter unresponsive in a crowd near an adjacent pool, strangers already performing CPR. Demi was pronounced dead at a local hospital. Destiny Morgan was arrested and charged with unlawful neglect of a child. The same resort, the same pool, no cameras, no lifeguard. A second dead child. A second arrest warrant for the mother. Both sets of charges were eventually dismissed. A third child, a 5-year-old boy, drowned at Crown Reef in the days that followed Demi Williams. The resort denied all wrongdoing in the subsequent wrongful death lawsuit. It pointed to the posted signage. It noted the pool was in compliance with applicable regulations. The Demi Williams case reached settlement in April of this year. The last time investigators inspected Crown Reef's pools before those deaths, the resort was found to have the required signage. The signs were there. The children are not. Alia's mother noticed her daughter was gone at approximately 4:50 in the afternoon. She searched the pool. She asked hotel security to pull up the surveillance footage. Hotel management declined. The footage could not be reviewed without police present. She called 911 at 5:45 p.m. Police arrived. They reviewed the footage and confirmed what it captured. 8-year-old Aaliyah Jaco had gone underwater in the Lazy River pool at the DoubleTree by Hilton, Houston Brook Hollow. She had never come back up. The pool was drained. Cameras were attached to 20-foot poles and lowered into the pipes. At approximately 6:30 the following morning, 13 hours after Aaliyah disappeared, her body was found wedged inside a pipe measuring 12 to 16 inches in diameter. The medical examiner's cause of death? Drowning and mechanical asphyxiation. The Houston Health Department inspected the pool and identified approximately 20 violations. Among them, the pipe had been malfunctioning. It was designed to push water out. It was pulling water in. The hotel had recently completed a renovation of the pool facility. No pre-opening inspection had been conducted after the renovation, as required by code. The family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Unique Crown Hospitality, the Hilton Franchise Management Company, and against Hilton Worldwide Holdings. In its legal response, Unique Crown Hospitality filed court documents asserting that the family engaged in negligent acts and/or omissions that proximately caused the alleged injuries and damages. Aaliyah's parents caused her death. That is what the Hilton Management Company filed with the court. 8 years old, pulled into a malfunctioning pipe in a pool that had never been inspected after renovation. The surveillance footage that would have shown her mother where her daughter was, the footage the hotel refused to release while Aaliyah was still missing, is the same footage that documented what happened to her. The hotel had the footage. It chose who got to see it and when. Joseph Allen was 55 years old, from Avenel, New Jersey. Before his trip to the Dominican Republic in June 2019, his doctor had given him a clean bill of health. He was found dead in his hotel room at the Terra Linda Resort in Susa on June 13th. The preliminary autopsy report produced by Dominican authorities described him as a ticking time bomb, with organs practically destroyed and a biological age of more than 80 years. He was 55. He had just come from his doctor. Allen was the 9th American tourist to die at Dominican Republic resorts in the previous 13 months. The pattern was consistent. Sudden illness reported after consuming food or beverages at the property, followed by pulmonary edema, fluid accumulating in the lungs. Heart attack listed as cause of death. Each resort, when contacted, described its specific death as isolated and unrelated to the others. Miranda Schaup Werner, 41, of Pennsylvania, had collapsed and died on May 25th after a drink from her villa minibar at the luxury Bahia Principe. 5 days later, at the same resort complex, Nathaniel Holmes, 63, and Cynthia Day, 49, were found dead in their room. Robert Wallace, 67, became ill at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Punta Cana after drinking scotch from the minibar. He died 3 days later. Another American had died at the same Hard Rock 9 months prior. The Dominican Republic Health Ministry described news coverage of the deaths as un montaje, a setup aimed at hurting tourism. The FBI conducted toxicology tests. After months of analysis, the conclusion was natural causes, consistent with the findings of local Dominican authorities. No definitive explanation was provided for why healthy Americans in their 40s, 50s, and 60s were dying in rapid succession after drinking from hotel minibars. What was provided, in Joseph Allen's case, was a report describing a 55-year-old man who had recently passed a physical examination as a ticking time bomb whose organs were practically destroyed. His family disputed it. His doctor disputed it. The Dominican Health Ministry called the entire story fake news. 11 Americans died at Dominican Republic resorts in 2019. The resorts called every single death isolated. The Connor family had planned the trip for months. Abby was 20 years old. She had just started the new year, the way 20-year-olds do, with plans. Her parents, Bill and Virginia, settled into the first evening of vacation. Abby and her older brother Austin, 23, stayed by the pool and ordered drinks from the swim-up bar. When the two siblings didn't show for the 7:30 dinner reservation, the family went looking. Hotel staff had found both of them in the pool. Austin drowning in the shallow end, Abby face down in the water. Austin survived. Abby never regained consciousness. She was flown to a hospital in Fort Lauderdale. She died on January 12, 2017. Iberostar's position? The alcohol served at the resort met all applicable regulatory standards. Mexican federal investigators subsequently raided 31 resort establishments in the Cancun and Playa del Carmen area. They confiscated nearly 100 gallons of alcohol, violating health and safety regulations. Much of it contained methanol, a chemical used in antifreeze and industrial solvents. There is no legitimate reason for methanol to appear in a resort swim-up bar drink. The Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel received more than 200 reports from American tourists describing sudden blackouts after minimal alcohol consumption at luxury Mexican resorts. The family's attorney said the problem was known to Mexican authorities, was known to hotels and resorts, and that the hotels either turned a blind eye or intentionally encouraged this sort of behavior in an effort to save money. Iberostar refused to cooperate with the family's investigation. Its formal statement said it did not comment on pending litigation. The lawsuit alleged the resort knew that alcoholic beverages being served at the hotel were tainted, substandard, poisonous, unfit for human consumption, and had failed in its duty to protect its guests. The logic woven through Iberostar's public position was the same logic that runs through every story in this video. She drank, she went swimming. She was 20 years old at an all-inclusive resort. The implication does the work, so the hotel doesn't have to say it out loud. Abby Connor had been at the resort for a matter of hours. Her brother, who had the same drinks, survived. Robbie Phillips owned a travel agency in Maryville, Tennessee, that frequently recommended Sandals resorts to clients planning destination weddings and honeymoons. She and her husband, Michael, were celebrating their anniversary. She was 65, he was 68. She had posted photographs from the resort to social media the day they arrived. On the morning of May 6th, both Robbie and Michael were found unresponsive in their villa. In a separate villa on the same property, 64-year-old Vincent Chiarella was found dead. His wife Donis, 65, had woken unable to move her arms or legs. She screamed for help. Hotel staff arrived to find her husband dead on the floor. Confirmed cause of death? Carbon monoxide poisoning. All four had reported feeling ill the night before and had visited the resort's medical facility. All four were sent back to their rooms. None of the villas at Sandals Emerald Bay were equipped with carbon monoxide detectors. Sandals' public statement described what happened as an isolated incident in one standalone structure that was in no way linked to the resort's air conditioning system, food and beverage service, landscaping services, or foul play. The statement named every system the resort controlled and excluded every one of them from responsibility in a single sentence. Following the deaths, Sandals announced it would install carbon monoxide detectors across all villas at Sandals Emerald Bay, and then across all of its Caribbean properties. The statement included a detail that was more revealing than intended. The detectors would be installed, it said, although not mandated in any Caribbean destination where we operate. Not mandated. The standard existed. The technology was a consumer product available in any hardware store. 3 people were asphyxiated in their sleep while staying at a luxury anniversary resort, and the resort's explanation for the absence of the one device that would have detected the gas was that no external authority had required them to install it. Robbie Phillips had spent years recommending this brand to people celebrating the most important moments of their lives. The resort called her death isolated and began ordering the detectors. William Chuamu Ganjui had taken his 3 young children to the hotel pool. He was 37 years old, a computer programmer staying at the Residence Inn by Marriott in downtown Montreal. While in the water with his children, he and his 2-year-old son Menelik slid into the deep end. What happened in the following minutes was not captured on any camera. There was no camera monitoring the pool. There was no lifeguard on duty. There was no emergency alarm. According to the wrongful death lawsuit filed by his widow, Shemen Mbage Nanju, William passed Menelik toward a floating life buoy before going under. He hung the toddler's arm around it. William sank to the bottom. Menelik died in hospital several days later. William was pronounced dead that afternoon. He was the family's sole breadwinner. His 2 daughters watched their father and brother drown. The family's $3.9 million lawsuit against the Marriott chain alleged the pool area was unsafe, improperly supervised, and lacked video surveillance and an emergency alarm. Marriott's defense rested on hotel policy. The pool met applicable standards under the code in force. There is nothing unusual about this story. That is the point. No cameras, no lifeguard, no alarm. A father and his 2-year-old son drowned in a hotel pool in a major Canadian city, in a property operated by one of the largest hospitality corporations in the world. The hotel's position was that its pool met the standard. The standard was the problem. Marriott met it. William and Menelik are dead. Abandoned Thrills documents the institutional decisions that lead to incidents like these every week. If you believe this kind of accountability journalism matters, subscribe and tell us in the comments which of these stories you had never heard before. 6 resorts, 6 institutions, 1 response. At Crown Reef in Myrtle Beach, the response to a 7-year-old drowning in an unmonitored pool was a $500,000 settlement without admission of liability. 3 years later, in the same pool, at the same resort, with the same conditions, a 4-year-old drowned. The response was the same, except this time, the arrest warrant came first. At the DoubleTree by Hilton in Houston, the response to an 8-year-old dying in a malfunctioning pipe was a court filing that attributed her death to her parents' negligence. The hotel had the footage. It chose not to show her mother while she was still looking for her. In the Dominican Republic, the response to 9 American tourist deaths at luxury resorts in 13 months was to call the reports fake news, describe a healthy 55-year-old man as a ticking time bomb, and conclude that each death was isolated. At the Iberostar Resort in Mexico, the response to a 20-year-old dying after drinks at the swim-up bar was silence, legal non-cooperation, and the implication that she had simply drunk too much. Mexican authorities found nearly 100 gallons of methanol-contaminated alcohol in resort establishments after she died. At Sandals Emerald Bay, the response to 3 Americans dying from carbon monoxide in their anniversary villas was a statement calling it isolated, followed by the installation of the detectors the resort had chosen not to install before those guests arrived. At the Marriott in Montreal, the response to a father and his toddler drowning in an unmonitored pool was a legal defense noting the property met applicable standards. The standard, in every case, was the floor, not the ceiling. Every hotel in this video was operating within the law. Every settlement, every filed defense, every deflection, all of it is legal. That is not an argument that what happened was acceptable. It is a description of where the floor is set and who set it. This has been Abandoned Thrills, where we document the decisions behind the accidents. Subscribe. We'll be back with the next video soon.